The story takes place in 1989, a time when school bullies often harass their fellow students over trivial issues. Billionaire is one of these victims, enduring constant mistreatment from these bullies. His childhood dreams are quite modest. He simply longs for a normal school life free from the torment of bullies. Billionaire comes from a humble family that frequently relocates due to his father's involvement in an illegal dance course that attracts police attention. It saddens Billionaire whenever they have to leave their home behind. After carefully observing the bullies for a while, he eventually learns how to avoid their torment. However, he now faces the daunting task of starting new at a different school. Billionaire's family moves to a rented house in the Buyeo area, owned by an old friend. There he is warmly welcomed by Ji-young, a girl who was once his childhood friend. On his first day in the village, Billionaire is tasked by his mother to buy rice. However, his attention quickly gets diverted by the local arcade. Meanwhile, a trio of formidable students from Buyeo Technical School decides to challenge the new kid, known as the White Tiger. The rule is that the loser must leave because there can only be one recognized king ruling Buyeo. The rumors about the White Tiger's strength prove true, as he effortlessly defeats the three troublemakers who dared to challenge him. Billionaire finds himself in an argument with two middle school students over a game at the arcade. However, fear takes over, and he decides to flee rather than face them in a fight. While riding his bicycle home, a fogging truck suddenly blocks his path with a cloud of smoke, causing him to lose control and crash into the White Tiger, who is relaxing and smoking right on the road. The impact is harsh, and the White Tiger is knocked unconscious. Billionaire rushes him to the village clinic, where he learns the young man's real name is Kyontae, strikingly similar to his own name. Kyontae requires transfer to a city hospital for further treatment. But another problem arises as Billionaire has to retrieve the scattered rice from the accident. Thankfully, Ji-young steps in, offering her rice as compensation, and even reminiscing about the times she used to tease him as kids. News of the White Tiger's showdown with the Buyeo Technical School students spreads throughout the Buyeo Agricultural School. However, there is uncertainty about his actual name, which sounds like both Kyontae and Billionaire. One thing everyone is sure of is that the White Tiger will attend one of the schools in Buyeo, possibly becoming the area's new ruler. Ji-young, who overhears these conversations, can't help but scoff at the idea of Billionaire being the White Tiger. Back at home, Billionaire's father hatches a plan to prevent his son from bullies at the new school, Buyeo Agricultural School. As luck would have it, a village policeman staying at the inn agrees to assist. The strategy involves Billionaire being driven to school in a police car, creating the impression that he's not an ordinary student. Before going to school, Billionaire receives some guidance from his father, who advises him to challenge everyone in his class. He simply needs to pick someone who appears less formidable among them to engage in a fight. Even if he loses, it will make people think he's part of a tough group, indirectly safeguarding him. However, the plan takes an unexpected turn, because no one dares to confront him because his demeanor convinces everyone that he is the formidable White Tiger. Meanwhile, Billionaire himself feels apprehensive, believing he's in hot water. The most formidable students in the class perceive his arrival as a significant threat. School bullies encounter Billionaire in the restroom, but the tension takes a comical twist when Billionaire kneels down. The bullies misinterpret it as a martial arts move and show him respect. It turns out the school bullies only wanted to invite him to a welcome party. Billionaire reluctantly agrees and stays cautious. When some girls arrive at the karaoke room, he decides to go along with the flow. The most beautiful girl, Sunhwa, takes an interest in him, and one of the school bullies named Cholhong starts spinning tales about how the White Tiger defeated the three strongest students from Buyeo Technical School. In his intoxicated state, Billionaire tries to piece together the peculiar occurrences he's encountered so far. It dawns on him that the school bullies mistakenly believe he is Kyontae, the original White Tiger, who is currently in the hospital. Since childhood, Billionaire had often been on the one receiving the beatings, mostly from Ji-young, as his closest childhood friend. But it seemed that Ji-young had changed as they grew up. She now went out of her way to help Billionaire, even blushing when he offered her yogurt at school. At school, the school bullies continued to act as Billionaire's escorts during soccer matches, making way for him. However, during one match, a student named Posuk interrupted and caused Billionaire to stumble and fall. One of the bullies, Daejin, found amusement in seeing Billionaire looking weak and began to doubt whether he was the real White Tiger. Ho-suk seemed to have figured out that Byung-tae wasn't as strong as he appeared, having witnessed him fleeing from middle school kids at the arcade. Suspicion growing, and Dae-jin cornered Byung-tae in the restroom, but the other bullies scolded him for questioning the White Tiger's strength. Soon after, Dae-jin kept a close watch on Byung-tae and took out his frustration by beating up Ho-suk. Byung-tae attempted to intervene, but fear held him back. Dae-jin invited him to fight, aiming to test his strength. Overwhelmed in the face of Dae-jin's aggression, Byung-tae had no choice but to surrender. However, in a surprising turn of events, he accidentally defeated Dae-jin with an unexpected elbow strike. Fortunately, the other bullies only saw Dae-jin's defeat and became more convinced that Byung-tae was the genuine White Tiger. In an attempt to make amends for doubting him, they invited Byung-tae to share a meal. During the meal, Byung-tae delivered a speech about not misusing his strength. He never had a chance to reveal his true identity and was forced to embrace his newfound reputation as the most respected person. Despite this, Dae-jin couldn't quite bring himself to accept Byung-tae, but he remained obedient to avoid trouble. After the party, everyone ended up witnessing an awkward confrontation involving Sunhwa and some students from the technical school. It turned out that a guy nicknamed Tung had a crush on her, but his supposedly expensive wallet turned out to be fake, much to Sunhwa's embarrassment as she was teased by her friends. To shield Sunhwa from further humiliation, the bullies pushed Byung-tae to confront Tung. After some sharp taunting, he slapped Tung in the face just before the guy fled in shame and fear. Byung-tae treated Sunhwa to some snacks to cheer her up and ensure she didn't feel down. He even promised to be her bodyguard. Sunhwa chuckled heartily, lightly touching the cut on Byung-tae's lip, which made his heart race. Following this pleasant encounter, everyone teased Byung-tae and cautioned him that the technical school might not take kindly to their humiliation of one of its toughest students. Later that night, Byung-tae and one of the bullies, named Yong-ho, accidentally stumbled upon Ji-young facing off against a group of girls. Yong-ho recognized Ji-young as the Black Spider, the best female fighter in Buyo. He explained that guys shouldn't interfere in women's affairs. Ji-young did appear like a tough character, but she kept her true identity hidden to avoid worrying her parents. Byung-tae promised to keep Ji-young's secret, and she helped him figure out what had happened when he fought Dae-jin. After sharing her story and demonstrating her skills, Ji-young concluded that Byung-tae had defeated Dae-jin with an elbow strike. Meanwhile, Tum from the technical school tried to approach Sunhwa, but she had lost interest in him, realizing her feelings for the White Tiger. Filled with anger and jealousy, Tum infiltrated the agricultural school to challenge Byung-tae. After using his final weapon to attack the unsuspecting bullies, he searched for Byung-tae, who happened to be studying in the field and had gone to the hills for a restroom break. Frightened, Byung-tae decided to let Tum be with Sunhwa and allowed him to leave when the technical school students began hunting him down. This incident bruised the pride of the agricultural school, and Cholhong suggested that Byung-tae seek revenge by defeating the leaders of the technical school. During history class, Byung-tae learned about the strategy the Japanese emperor used to hide his weaknesses by managing his warriors' strengths. Inspired by this, he came up with a plan to confront the technical school together. Instead of just targeting its leaders, he aimed to rally the students' anger and incite them to fight, allowing him to conceal his true identity, similar to the Japanese emperor's tactics. Hoes, shovels, and cow dung became the unexpected powerful weapons of the agricultural school. When Tum was left weakened, Byung-tae stepped in at the last moment to defeat him and warned him to stay away from Sunhwa. This victory marked a clear win for the agricultural school, as the three strongest students from the technical school were finally defeated. Meanwhile, Ji-young warned the girls not to extort money from fellow students. She also accidentally stumbled upon Byung-tae and his friends celebrating their victory. Byung-tae had no choice but to fully embrace his role as the White Tiger and tried to lead his newfound followers effectively. Later that night at a club, Byung-tae showcased his dancing skills, impressing everyone, including Sunhwa. He had his unique way of winning over women, and it seemed that Sunhwa was growing fonder of him. When Byung-tae walked Sunhwa home, and they suddenly held hands, leaving him blushing and feeling somewhat awkward. He was thrilled when Sunhwa shared her phone number, written on the back of her own photo. When Byung-tae arrived home, he received a warning from Ji-young to be cautious. She understood that Byung-tae was pretending to be the White Tiger and enjoying his newfound identity with lies. Ji-young didn't discourage him, but she wanted to protect him from potential harm if he got too deeply entangled in his role and faced the harsh reality. Unfortunately, Ji-young's fears became reality when Kyung-tae woke up in the hospital and joined the agricultural school as a new student in the same class as Byeon-tae. Kyung-tae had lost some of his memories after the accident. When the school bullies tried to corner him in the restroom, Byeon-tae intervened and asked them to back off. Curious about whether Kyung-tae was truly the real white tiger, Byeon-tae began following him around after school. He discovered that Kyung-tae's parents ran a bakery cafe and thanked Byeon-tae for his help in the incident. Over time, they developed a strong friendship. Meanwhile, 3 of the strongest students from the technical school devised a plan for revenge against Byeon-tae when they encountered him on the street, attempting to harm him. Kyung-tae, who was with Byeon-tae, got involved in the situation and effortlessly defeated the bullies. This made Byeon-tae realize that Kyung-tae was indeed the real white tiger. However, Kyung-tae continued to deny it, as he had no memory of his past actions. He appeared to be reborn as a new person with hidden strength. Knowing that Kyung-tae had lost his memories, Byeon-tae felt relieved, allowing him to maintain his impersonation as the white tiger. As the days went by, Byeon-tae became more assertive in his role as the white tiger. He didn't hesitate to stand up against the school bullies who were extorting money from students, posing as collecting security fees. Byeon-tae's newfound confidence allowed him to confront the bullies and warn them to stop their actions. His boldness earned him the respect of the oppressed students, who saw him as both a friend and a leader. While the situation remained calm for a while, Byeon-tae enjoyed moments of romance on a date with Sunhwa. During their date, Sunhwa asked him about his exceptional dancing skills. Byeon-tae blushed and shared that he had developed his dancing ability as a way to cope with the sadness of always hiding in his room to avoid getting beaten up. He had discovered a dance record from his father and practiced it repeatedly, eventually becoming a skilled dancer. Sunhwa was eager to learn how to dance from Byeon-tae, and they danced together, almost stumbling but creating a beautiful romantic atmosphere. In the evening, they went roller skating while holding hands, teasing each other, and enjoying their time together as a loving couple. Byeon-tae had never felt happier, cherishing these moments of joy. However, during their date at an expensive restaurant, Sunhwa asked Byeon-tae to treat her, and he borrowed money from his subordinates, Dae-jin and Sung-koo. Since he had ordered his subordinates not to extort money from other students, they had no income. Blinded by love, Byeon-tae didn't concern himself with these details and asked Dae-jin and Sung-koo to find money for him immediately. Dae-jin and Sung-koo made a grave mistake when they tried to extort money from Kyung-tae, thinking he was an easy target. Little did they know that Kyung-tae was the real white tiger. He defeated them effortlessly. However, his victory was short-lived as 3 former students from the technical school seeking revenge attacked him. They repeatedly hit him on the head, triggering the return of all his memories. The white tiger had awakened, and after defeating his attackers, he was left trying to make sense of what had happened to him during his memory loss. Kyung-tae brought the money Byeon-tae had requested to the restaurant. At first, he appeared angry, but upon seeing the charming Sunhwa, he greeted her politely and left. It seemed that Kyung-tae wanted to maintain the charade that Byeon-tae had stolen his identity. He also instructed those who had lost to keep quiet about his true identity. Later that evening, as Byeon-tae walked Sunhwa home while holding hands, he decided to seek clarity about their relationship. Sunhwa didn't say much and closed her eyes, expecting a kiss. Unfortunately, Byeon-tae didn't understand the signal and missed the chance for a kiss. Sunhwa gently explained that people in Seoul express their love with a kiss, and Byeon-tae felt regretful. However, Sunhwa assured him that she would give him a second chance. That night, Byeon-tae unexpectedly witnessed Ji-young being attacked by the same group of girls as before. This time, there was a guy assisting them. Byeon-tae confidently introduced himself as the white tiger, scaring the guy away and ensuring Ji-young's safe journey home. One day, Byeon-tae and his innocent friends decided to work part-time as farmers to earn some money. Curious about their perspective, Kyung-tae joined them and discovered that Byeon-tae, despite being known as the gentle-hearted and non-violent white tiger, had a very different side. That evening, Byeon-tae was on a date, but the assertive Kyung-tae wanted to join, which made Sunhwa uncomfortable. Kyung-tae had developed feelings for her and was determined to win her over. Byeon-tae was upset when Kyung-tae mentioned his family's financial struggles in front of Sunhwa and asked him to leave. Ji-young, who had noticed the closeness between Billionaire and Sunhwa, felt jealous, and it appeared she recognized the girl. Billionaire walked Sunhwa home and joyfully gave her a genuine wallet. Sunhwa was delighted, but her heart wasn't fully open yet. Despite being slightly disappointed, Billionaire respected Sunhwa's decision and returned home. Ji-young greeted him angrily and warned him that Sunhwa might not be a good girl, as people called her a fox who took advantage of men's feelings for her own benefit. However, Billionaire didn't believe it. The next day, Kyung-tae, driven by his determination to win Sunhwa's heart, began to show his charms. He met Sunhwa on his cool motorcycle, gave her cream bread, and invited her somewhere. Sunhwa tried to resist, but Kyung-tae's charm was hard to ignore, and she accepted his invitation. As Kyung-tae acted sweet and attentive, Sunhwa's heart started to waver. After walking Sunhwa home, Kyung-tae surprised her with a sudden kiss, which made her furious. Billionaire, who accidentally witnessed this, was furious as well. He scolded Kyung-tae but couldn't do much as Kyung-tae confidently declared his intention to win Sunhwa's heart. Billionaire's heart shattered when he saw Sunhwa leaving with another guy and kissing him, without a word to him. At school, there was a need for a new student council president, and many suggested that Billionaire take the position, believing he held the highest status. Driven by his desire to bring down Kyung-tae for stealing Sunhwa, Billionaire asked his subordinates for help. However, Kyung-tae was not interested in power, because he only wanted Sunhwa. As time passed, Billionaire became increasingly consumed by greed and ambition. He wanted everything, including power. However, his obsession with defeating Kyung-tae proved to be his downfall. When the original White Tiger discovered that Billionaire was behind the attack on the school thugs, he decided to show his true strength. Simultaneously, Billionaire's real identity was exposed, and it became clear that he was just an ordinary student. Feeling deceived, the school thugs took out their anger on Billionaire, marking the end of his reign. Kyung-tae, now the leader, invited everyone to eat together and handed the bill to Billionaire, leaving him confused and forcing him to borrow money to cover it. Billionaire suffered a severe blow when he had to confess his deception in front of Sunhwa, causing their relationship to crumble. Kyung-tae seized this opportunity to win Sunhwa's heart, and eventually, she turned to him. Billionaire's life had taken a complete turn. He had lost his power, his love, and was drowning in debt, all while everyone knew he was a fake White Tiger. Fortunately, his loyal friends, especially Ho-suk, stuck by his side and became close friends. At first, Ho-suk had approached Billionaire because of his feelings for Ji-young, but when she rejected him, he became friends with Billionaire. Ji-young scolded Billionaire because she had been worried about him all along, although her reactions seemed exaggerated. Billionaire misunderstood, thinking that Ji-young was blaming him for not thinking things through. He had only wanted to pursue his dream of living a happy life and hoped to learn from his mistakes. Trouble arose when the White Tiger asked Billionaire to extort money from other students. Frustrated by repeated beatings for not fulfilling this task properly, Billionaire became desperate and resorted to extorting money from his own friend. He brutally attacked Ho-suk just to obtain a small sum, which ultimately landed him in the police station. Ho-suk received serious injuries and his family was furious with Billionaire. Ho-suk's mother forgave Billionaire after hearing her son's story, understanding that he was also a victim of bullying at school. Filled with remorse, Billionaire apologized to Ho-suk, who generously forgave him. When the thugs ordered Billionaire to bring an old sofa to school for the White Tiger, he couldn't refuse. He started the task alone, but Ji-young, feeling sorry for him, offered her help along the way. Ji-young couldn't understand why Billionaire was passively accepting his situation. She believed that if he didn't have the courage to fight back, he could at least seek help from others. Unbeknownst to Billionaire, Ji-young had harbored feelings for him all along. Distressed by the way her crush was being treated, Ji-young decided to approach the White Tiger to issue a warning. She implored him not to act recklessly and harm the weaker students. Ji-young knew she couldn't defeat him in a fair fight, so she chose to confront him when he was vulnerable. That night, she caught Kyung-tae off guard and launched a sudden attack, causing him to faint and leaving a scar on his face. With his survival instincts kicking in, Billionaire hatched a plan to improve his situation. He persuaded Kyung-tae to run for student council president before the election began, showering him with praises that boosted his ego. Kyung-tae eventually agreed, as Billionaire couldn't withdraw, resulting in 2 candidates vying for the student council president position at the agricultural school. Byung-tae's plan was straightforward, as he aimed to draw the teacher's attention to the white tiger. Whether Kyung-tae liked it or not, as the student council president, he would have to maintain the image of an exemplary student, which meant reducing his violent actions to preserve his reputation. Byung-tae's friends were enthusiastic about the plan, but there was another challenge they needed to overcome. The school thugs demanded that Byung-tae prepare 10,000 won to the white tiger's birthday celebration. Byung-tae's friends were willing to assist him by selling their farm produce in the city. Their hard work paid off, but Byung-tae made a mistake when he lent some of the money to Sunhwa, who wanted to buy a cassette player but fell short on funds. Byung-tae was blinded by love. Even after being rejected by Sunhwa, he couldn't resist her sweet persuasion, and he ended up giving her 20,000 won to fulfill her wish. When he handed over the remaining money to the thugs, they were furious, although they controlled their anger to maintain a pleasant atmosphere for the white tiger's birthday. At that moment, Byung-tae overheard that the white tiger and Sunhwa would spend the evening together, which shattered his heart even further. On the night of the party, despite not being invited, Byung-tae came to see the white tiger, who welcomed him warmly because he was in good spirits. Byung-tae kept a watchful eye on Sunhwa, preventing her from getting too drunk and hoping to prevent any unfortunate incidents. However, all his efforts to protect Sunhwa were in vain when she presented a music player as a gift that she had bought using some of Byung-tae's money. This revelation made Byung-tae let go the money he had given to Sunhwa. It was a turning point for him, realizing that his affection for Sunhwa only brought him sadness. Thus, he made the decision to stop loving her. While Byung-tae was grieving, Sunhwa and Kyung-tae spent the evening together. On the other hand, Ji-young faced her own difficulties when her secret identity as the Black Spider was exposed. She had never targeted the innocent and only confronted those who were truly guilty. However, her parents couldn't believe her and were disappointed. Ji-young simply wanted to live life on her own terms, but her traditional parents always pushed her to conform to societal expectations for women. Frustrated by this, Ji-young ran away from home and found shelter in a warehouse. Byung-tae tried to empathize with her feelings and stayed by her side throughout the night. Not long after, the student council election took place, and after the votes were counted, Byung-tae emerged as the winner, securing slightly more votes than Kyung-tae. It appeared that many believed he would bring positive change to the school. In response, Kyung-tae, feeling humiliated, brutally attacked Byung-tae, leaving him hospitalized. Teachers and the school principal offered their apologies for the incident, and Kyung-tae's mother knelt and expressed her regrets to Byung-tae's parents, promising to provide compensation. Ironically, even though Byung-tae's parents found it hard to forgive, they had no choice but to accept the compensation due to their challenging circumstances. Meanwhile, Ji-young, driven by concern, implored Byung-tae to stand up and confront the injustice he was facing, believing it was the only path to transform his miserable life. Initially, Byung-tae didn't give much heed to Ji-young's words about seeking revenge. However, when Ho-suk informed him that the school thugs had reported his father to the police for running an illegal dance course, his perspective changed. It was too late for Byung-tae to prevent his father's arrest by the police, and this incident fueled his desire to take action against those who had harmed him and his family. The mastermind behind this trouble was the White Tiger, who was angered because his own mother had to kneel and apologize for previous events. Seeing his mother cry and apologize, admitting her shortcomings as a parent, deeply moved Byung-tae. This emotional moment gave him the strength to consider taking on the school thugs, but he understood that courage alone wouldn't suffice. In the end, Byung-tae knelt before Ji-young and requested her guidance in learning how to fight. During his school breaks, he dedicated himself to training, and the lessons Ji-young imparted were far from easy. She devised a cunning plan that involved Byung-tae working at a briquette charcoal factory for 20 days, where he had to lift heavy logs to build his physical strength. Working at the briquette charcoal factory was not easy, especially for someone lacking experience like Byung-tae. Yet, driven by unwavering determination, he continued. There were moments when he contemplated giving up midway, but the memories of the profound sadness he had endured rekindled his spirit. Though Byung-tae didn't transform into a skilled fighter overnight under Ji-young's training, he had developed the courage to confront the school thugs directly. His newfound physical strength made him less apprehensive about taking punches. However, a problem arose when the White Tiger compelled him to accompany Ji-young somewhere. Byung-tae couldn't decline this demand, as the safety of his friends hung in the balance. Ji-young, who was aware of the situation, accepted the White Tiger's invitation for a face-to-face meeting. During the meeting, Sunhwa appeared sad as she approached Kyung-tae, but the school thugs blocked her path. It emerged that on that evening, she had turned down Kyung-tae's invitation to spend time together, and he had subsequently broken up with her. Byung-tae couldn't help but feel sad, despite his resolve not to care about Sunhwa anymore. This indicated the depth of his genuine love for her. However, upon learning the reasons behind Sunhwa's strong affection for Kyung-tae, Byung-tae came to a realization. Perhaps he should have never loved her in the first place. It turns out that Sunhwa believed that dating the White Tiger would boost her social status and prove that she was the most beautiful girl in Buyo. It seemed Kyung-tae had called Ji-young just to fight, unable to accept defeat when he wasn't ready. When Ji-young was badly beaten, Byung-tae pleaded with Kyung-tae to let her go. Things settled down when Sunhwa met Kyung-tae to apologize for rejecting his invitation, and she wanted to be with him again. Thanks to Sunhwa, the White Tiger lost interest and released them, indirectly saving them all. Byung-tae didn't give up. He needed time to prepare for revenge. He thanked Ji-young and apologized for involving her. In the past, Byung-tae and Ji-young had a strong bond, and they once tried to protect their love against a schoolmate who wanted to marry Ji-young. However, they couldn't win, even with Ji-young's fighting skills. Their childhood friendship grew, but they had to part ways when Ji-young moved to a different neighborhood, leaving Byung-tae behind. Now, Byung-tae was braver, but needed a plan to defeat the school bullies. He couldn't take them all at once, so he decided to eliminate them one by one. To do that, he needed a mask to hide his identity. His first opponent was Yongho, a fast fighter. But Byung-tae aimed to disrupt Yongho's balance by targeting his legs. On the day of his action, Byung-tae wearing the dragon mask lovingly crafted by Ji-young. He successfully defeated Yongho by injuring his leg, leaving him helpless. Word of this reached the school bullies, and they wondered who would dare to challenge White Tiger's followers. All they knew was that the person responsible wore a frog mask. Ji-young, unhappy with her mask being compared to a frog, quickly redesigned it to make it look more fierce like a dragon. Byung-tae had a long road ahead, with his next target being Dae-jin, a strong wrestler. To beat him, Byung-tae needed to be agile and prevent Dae-jin from getting a grip on him. To achieve this, Byung-tae coated himself with sesame oil to make it hard for Dae-jin to grab him, allowing him to defeat him freely. Though he faced some struggles, Byung-tae managed to win in the end. Dae-jin was taken to the hospital, and he told his friends that the attacker had worn a fringed lizard mask. The school bullies started getting confused because earlier reports mentioned a frog mask. Byung-tae's identity was almost exposed when Dae-jin tore off his mask and saw the bruise around his left eye. However, when the bullies tried to identify the culprit at school, they were puzzled because many students had similar left eye bruises. It seemed Ji-young was behind this, quietly hurting them to divert suspicion from Byung-tae. Byung-tae continued his revenge at school. When he confronted Sung-ho in the restroom while he was having digestive problems, he wore his newly modified mask and immediately defeated the thug. The school bullies suspected that the culprit was one of the students, so they began searching through the students' bags, hoping to find the blue mask worn by the attacker. Byung-tae was alarmed when he couldn't find the blue mask he had hidden in his bag, but he managed to keep his identity secret. With Ji-young's guidance, Byung-tae continued seeking revenge. Since his old mask was gone, he used a new one made from kids' clothes. His next target was Sungwoo, a big school thug who worked at a bar owned by a notorious gangster. Byung-tae figured that causing trouble at the bar would disrupt the gangster's operations. Sungwoo wasn't scared to face Byung-tae, but he was worried about his boss's expensive glasses getting damaged. By exploiting this weakness, Byung-tae defeated Sungwoo and sent him to the hospital. Rumors started spreading about the Blue Dragon defeating the school bullies. Ho-suk accidentally witnessed Byung-tae launching an attack in the restroom and secured his mask during the inspection. Kyung-tae felt disappointed when he learned that Sunhwa wanted to date him just because he was strong. The presence of the Blue Dragon made him anxious, thinking Sunhwa might choose someone stronger. As Kyung-tae's subordinates kept falling, Ho-suk joined forces with Byung-tae and Ji-young to challenge the White Tiger. Ho-suk then shared surprising news about Chol-hong, revealing that he wasn't as tough as they believed. Chol-hong often hung out with alumni from the agricultural school who enjoyed fighting, which led people to assume he was part of their group. Byung-tae knew he could easily defeat him. Instead of sending Cholhong to the hospital like the other thugs, they decided to use him as leverage against the White Tiger. Byung-tae and his friends came up with a revenge plan. Cholhong played a convincing role in getting the White Tiger to take over the student council presidency and act obedient. They'd organized a celebration for him and got him drunk during the party. When his guard was down, Byung-tae and his friends, disguised as the Blue Dragon, moved to take him down together. But Kyung-tae proved to be too tough to defeat. Even with Ji-young joining the attack, Kyung-tae realized his limits and chose to retreat, and things quieted down for a while. Not long after, Byung-tae's father was released from prison, and the agricultural school students experienced peace as Kyung-tae stayed away from school for a few days. Meanwhile, Kyung-tae finally discovered that the true identity of the Blue Dragon was Byung-tae after meeting Cholhong, and he plotted to defeat those trying to overthrow him. With Ji-young and the others had already attempted to take down the White Tiger, but they were powerless. A showdown between Byung-tae and Kyung-tae was inevitable, and this time, both were determined to fight. Kyung-tae, with his fighting experience, initially had the upper hand in the match, but Byung-tae, who was used to being beaten, seemed to handle it well. He even laughed when Kyung-tae's blows started to have no effect. In the end, Kyung-tae, unable to match Byung-tae's spirit, admitted defeat. He looked weak and fearful when Byung-tae was about to crush his left hand. At the last moment, Byung-tae abandoned that intention and only warned him not to harm his friends again. Byung-tae also shared a valuable lesson, explaining that the fear Kyung-tae felt now was what he and his friends had endured daily when Kyung-tae was in power. Byung-tae became a hero at the agricultural school. He held no grudges against the school thugs and tried to befriend them. Everyone greatly respected him, yet he remained humble. After going through many experiences together, Byung-tae's feelings for Ji-young grew, and they finally started dating. The story ends with Byung-tae explaining that people in Seoul express their feelings through kissing, and Ji-young shyly asks Byung-tae to do it. Moral lesson from the story: sometimes courage and cleverness can help us stand up to our problems. Even wearing a frog mask to defeat bullies and slipping through bullies' grip using sesame oil proven to help.